we can generate more employment in this system. So, growth, stability, employment, and the channelization of financial resources are the major objectives of the monetary policy. Now, we see that the monetary policy has its own mechanism to operate. It has its own kit of tools. It is working with the tools which is that certain kinds of instruments which are being used to regulate and control the money supply in the economy. Now, these tools are playing very important role. As and when there is a need of any a problem resolution like unemployment or a growth or any kinds of instability in the economy, these tools are being used so that we can regain the lost stability, the loss in growth, the loss in employment. So the Reserve Bank of India or the monetary policy is being operated through the different tools. Now, the first important tool is the bank rate. Now, bank rate is a prime instrument of the monetary policy. Bank rate is a rate at which the RBI is lending money to the commercial bank, or the rate at which the government securities or bills are being discounted by. So, in the sense that the government has to pay the interest rate to the RBI for the borrowing, and if the commercial banks are also borrowing from the monetary policy, that is to say that RBI, then they are also to pay. So this bank rate is a rate that is prevailing between the RBI, that is our monetary institution, and government, and between the RBI and the commercial banks of the country. Not only that, there are other semi-monetary institutions or financial institutions which are also coming under the grip of the Central Monetary Authority and its policy, like Reserve Bank of India, and they also have to adjust accordingly. So the bank rate is a very important one, in the sense that supposing the economy is suffering from inflation, the prices are mounting, or inflation is getting rampant. At that time, the monetary authority will raise the bank rate. Now, when the bank rate is raised, in the sense that this in the commercial bank has to pay high rate of interest to the RBI. Now, when the interest rate is high, it will discourage the excess money supply to pour in the economy. It will restrict the investment. And when the investment is restricted and the money supply is reduced, thereby, then slowly and successively you will see that the price level will come down. So, price level stabilization is taking into account through the operation of the bank rate in the time of inflation in this fashion, because inflation is one type of instability in this system. Now, if you look at another kind of instability, that when the prices are going down, or when the output rate is declining, or the income is falling, at that time we see that there is a deflationary trend in the system. So at that point of time, there is a need for pump rising, in the sense that the system needs to be stimulated well. And this stimulation can come only when the bank rate is reduced. When the bank rate is reduced, then it is an incentive for the investor to invest more. And when they will invest more, then automatically the employment will increase, the output will increase, the income will increase, and ultimately the system will come out of the clutches of the depression. So in this way, bank rate is increase or decrease, or the bank rate is manipulated so that the stability in the economy is maintained. The second important tool of monetary policy is the open market operation. The open market operation means the purchase and sale of government security in open market. Now, when the government is purchasing and selling this security, then it has impact on the money supply in the economy. Assuming the fact that the inflation is prevailing in this system, and when the inflation is prevailing in the system, it means that there is an excess money supply. Now, excess money supply in the sense that the money supply is exceeding the given total output of the economy, and therefore we have to bring down money supply to that level, and therefore at that situation the government will sell its security. When the government sells security, the private institution, private people and private business, they are buying these securities. Means when they buy means they pay to. So the money supply started coming back to the grip of monetary authority, or that is to say that central bank or the RBI. So money supply is in this way reduced. So when money supply is reduced through the open market operation, then you would see that inflation is arrested. And when the inflation is arrested, then the stability is retained. So in this way, in an inflationary situation, the open market operation is in this sense that selling out of government security and thereby reducing the money supply, or to bring a desired effect on the money supply. Similarly, if there is a depression, then in the open market operation, the government will buy the securities. When the government buys the security, then it pays to the private individuals and private parties, and thereby you see that the money supply will increase in the economy. So, in this way, ultimately, open market operation is reducing or decreasing depending on the situation the money supply, because it has got bearing on the money supply quantity. Money supply. So the money supply would change by means of open market operation. As a matter of fact, in India, we do not play much with this particular tool. Our Central Monetary Authority or the Reserve Bank of India is not much manipulating the open market operation. It is more relying on the bank rate. Whereas in United States, you would see that the Federal Reserve is playing with this particular tool, namely the open market operation. So whenever they find instability of any kind or any problem in the system or financial crisis in the system, they will take shelter of this particular tool in the sense that they will operate open market operation, and thereby they will control money supply, they will regulate money supply, and they will manage money supply. So in this way, you see that depending on this thing, what emphasis or what importance you give to the given tool of monetary policy. Somewhere open market operation is more significant as per the given monetary constitution of the country. Somewhere it is the bank rate which is important, depending on what type of belief you have, what type of ideology you have to manage your economy. So therefore, you would see that this open market operation, second tool, which is also very important, being used to manipulate money supply and bring it to that level so that we can have growth and stability objectives are obtained. The third objective of tool of monetary policy is what we would call a reserve ratio. Now, this reserve ratio is something as per the Reserve Bank of India's Constitution 1934, that all commercial banks have to, and other financial institutions have to keep some reserve of their credit with the RBI. It may be 20%, it may be 25%, it may be 15%, depending on this thing. It is not fixed, but it is alterable over a period of time, and keeping in mind the condition prevailing in the nation, the reserve ratio is being operated. Now, cash reserve ratio, we call it this thing, that in cash the banks have to keep certain amount of deposit. Now, when they keep certain amount deposit with them, means they are not utilizing it, this thing. They are not doing business of this money, okay, in the sense that they are not lending this money at some rate of interest to the public or to the private institutions or to the private individual. They have to keep it compulsorily by the given laws of the Central Monetary Authority with them. So in this way, if you change the reserve ratio, you will change the money supply. And when you change the money supply, then automatically you would see that the price level is changed, the income level is changed, the output level is changed. In other words, this thing, all macroeconomic variables will alter by the operation of this reserve ratio. Now, cash reserve ratio, you have got a statutory reserve ratio. Now, that statutory reserve ratio is one that is prevailing between the Central Monetary Authority, that we call it in India RBI, and the commercial banks. The reserve that commercial banks have to put in the RBI, this thing, is the statutory reserve. Now, this statutory reserve, when the RBI or the Central Monetary Authority finds, in the light of the monetary policy, that the commercial banks are rampant in, they have crossed the limit doing the business of money, and credit is being expanded in the economy. Unnecessarily credit is prevailing in the economy, or there is excess credit in the economy. At the time this reserve ratios are changed, this thing. If you look at the history of this thing, this reserve ratio has remained between the 20 to 10%, this thing, of the total deposit here in India. From the very inception, if you would find this thing. Similarly, in the bank rate, the range of changes in the bank rate is from the 11% to the 3.5%. Every time, whenever there is a change in the bank rate, it is either 1% or it could be either 0.5%. So in this way, the bank rate is also operated very carefully. Now, we should take also into account the repo rate. What is that repo rate? The repo rate is the rate at which the RBI is lending money to the commercial bank, this thing. So that is what we call it a repo rate. Now, if the repo rate is high, then it is a restrictions on the business of the commercial bank, in the sense that they cannot expand anyway the credit which is there in the economy. Similarly, there is also another measure, that is the reverse repo, we call it. Now, reverse repo is in the sense that this thing, the commercial banks are also lending money to the Central Monetary Authority or the RBI, and the rate which they charge is known as the reverse repo rate, this thing. So you have this thing, repo rate, you have got reverse repo rate, and these are the two facets of the bank rate. As you have got statutory reserve ratio, and as you have got the cash reserve ratio. So in this way, these two measures are being operated, and similarly, you would see the operations in the economy by the open market operation. Now, not only that, this thing, RBI has also, or the monetary authority has also other mechanism also to restrict the money supply in the economy, or to manage the money supply in the economy. For example, if it's a credit rationing, you have this thing. Credit rationing, you will find that the credit is available to the specific, the particular, which are determined by the policy, and not to all. It will not open to all, but this thing. But there would be restriction on the credit flow in this system. Selective credit control. Selective credit control in the sense that the selected lot would, or selected individual or institution would be able to get credit from the banks. For example, if you look at the agriculture sector, those who are going for cash crop, okay, and those who are yielding well or the productivity high, for them the credit is available. And for other crops which are suffering from the uncertainties and risk, this thing, for them there is no opportunity to get credit, this thing. So in this way, the selective credit, there are a number of ways through which the credit is being restricted through the monetary operation in the system, so that we can have proper utilization of given credit, and hence we find that this thing, there is a stability and growth in the system through the monetary policy. So credit restrictions, this thing, because it has been seen that commercial banks are profit oriented, this thing, their base is profit. And when they go out of way to make profit, at that time the credit restrictions are being imposed by the Central Monetary Authority, we call it RBI, on the commercial banks, so that their business is controlled and the economy may be protected from all kinds of adversities of the business, of the trade or credit in the system. So we have these different kinds of tools which are there with the RBI, through which it is managing the money supply in the economy, it is regulating money supply in the economy, and trying to enhance growth and stability. Now, what is money supply? That the RBI or the monetary policy is controlling, regulating, and managing. This money supply is the total quantity of money that is there in the economy. Now, this total quantity of money is with the people, with the institution, with the business community, with the RBI, with the government. I mean, spread all over the system. Now, this total money supply means the aggregated money supply, this thing. So, we call it monetary aggregate, this thing. This monetary aggregate in the sense that there are different constitutes of money supply in the system. Now, these different constitutes are playing a role to influence the entire economy or entire system. And therefore, we have to be very careful about its changes. That is to say, the aggregate money supply, how we should change this thing. Which part of money supply we want to touch, and in the sense that which part of the money supply we want to manipulate, so that we can bring desired impact on the kinds of problem that we want to solve. So we have different constitute of the money supply, and therefore they are referred as monetary aggregate. Now, your total money supply in the economy is equal to M1, M2, M3, and M4. Now, what is there in M1? How do you define? The M1 is generally defined as a narrow money, in the sense that its coverage of money supply is narrow, in the sense that M1 is equal to currency with the public.